We'll wait just a couple more minutes for Sean. No, in fact, we'll start because there's a lot to say. Um, are there members of the public on at all?
On Zoom. There's 4 members of the public as attendees. Well, some of them may be presenters.
Can we determine who are presenters?
Thank you.
I'm having trouble getting that screen.
There should be a chart from, here you go. So they'll tell you who the presenters are. Actually, I printed 2 of them, so let me take one. Oh, no. I didn't print 2. I can tell you who they are. Chorus. You guys go ahead. I'll go through.
Okay, we'll start and come along as it is. If you'd be on the lookout for the first presenter while I read the initial things. This is Community Board 2 Manhattan, the landmarks meeting of the first of 2 for this month. We don't have a quorum, so we will use the usual method of the members here will make a recommendation, which the board will then entertain as a motion. For the members of the public, if you're here for 633 Broadway, also known as 200 Mercer Street, it's being reviewed by the commission staff and will not come to us. 287 Bleecker Street has been laid over, and 134 Sullivan Street is withdrawn. We assume Sullivan Street will come along sometime and just keep watch for it. We're so few, and I believe the presenters have been before. I want to say one thing at first for the presenters. We're going to change the schedule a bit of how we organize the meetings. And we now require that the Friday before the Thursday meeting, that is a week minus 1 day, to have some form of the presentation in. And if it needs to be updated later, that's fine, up until the Wednesday, the day before the meeting. And that will make it possible for us to better organize the order and the makeup of the agenda. The order is the presentations, the members of the public in the room, members of the public online, invited guests, members of the board not on the committee, and then finally the committee. Is anyone here from a village preservation? Well, we'll come to that as time is. The first application is for 529 Broadway to replace one bay of the ground floor storefront on the Spring Street side of the building, reconfigure the existing freight entrance and glass storefront into a revised freight elevator and entry for the office tenants on the upper floors of the building. Arturo, when you have the people up, they can begin.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. The members of the public, if you want to speak about any of the applications, there is in the chat a form to fill out with which one or ones, and we'll come to that as we go along.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes, very good. My
And
name
you'll
is
share
Adam.
your screen at the
Yes,
right
of
moment.
course.
Okay.
I'm sharing my screen. Very good. Should I begin?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to the members of the committee. My name is Alex Caballero. I'm from Arcadis. We are the architects for 529 Broadway on behalf of our client Inca Investments. And as noted, we're here to present a proposal to reconfigure one storefront bay on Spring Street of the building into a new building entry to accommodate changed uses on the upper floors of the building. Let's make sure. So the building under consideration, in the proposal, 529 Broadway, is on the northwestern corner of Broadway and Spring Street within the SoHo Cast Iron Historic District. And the building is actually a new construction. The building was constructed. It was approved at Landmarks in 2013. Existing buildings were taken down, and the new building was erected, approved at LPC public hearing in 2013, and then completed in 2016. And people might remember that it housed the Nike flagship store for SoHo. And so the original use of the building, as constructed, was that Nike occupied the entirety of the building as a retail store. The new ownership, Inca Investments, proposes has a proposal to execute a change of use for the building to retain retail uses on the cellar, first and second floors, and to convert the upper floors of the building into office uses. This is intended to ensure the future economic viability of the building, as very, very large retail flagships are unsustainable. And this brings the building back to a better conformance with a more standard typology. This view is of the existing elevation of the building on Spring Street. And a couple of items to note are that the design of the building, this new construction, in the design of the building has more open fenestration on the Broadway side, which is the more retail commercial side, and that articulates as the building facade goes westward to a more solid construction on the western edge of the building on Spring Street. The sidewalk on Spring Street also slopes down significantly from the corner of Spring and Broadway down to the western edge of the building. It's a slope of a little over 3 feet from the corner of Broadway down to the existing freight doors. And I don't know if you can see my cursor as I'm pointing at the screen, but the existing freight doors, which are the freight door, which is on the corner.
If you have a close-up of that bay, that would be useful for this, I think.
We have close-ups later on in the presentation. And so the storefront bay under consideration is actually that one storefront bay furthest west on the Spring Street elevation. In plan, that storefront bay is outlined in the red dashed line. And so it's the lower left-hand corner of the plan. And that storefront bay currently is used as a freight entrance and as a means of egress from the existing building. The proposal is to convert this one storefront bay into a freight entrance for the retail tenant, and that is that set of double doors that leads to a freight elevator, and an office, a building entry for upper floor office tenants. And so the revised configuration would be on the left-hand side, an office entry with a revolver and a swing door, which provides ADA access and egress. And on the right-hand side, double swing doors, which provide freight access. So in elevation, the building would go from this elevation, and the proposal is to go to this elevation. And we have details in this package. So the existing condition is on this slide. It's the it's the freight entry door on Spring Street, and then glass storefront that is currently filmed over. And on the right-hand side of the screen is the building elevation as it was filed at the DOB in 2016. And so some consideration at that time of building signage as well as the freight door. The building signage was not executed in 2016. The proposal is to install a building entry with a revolver and a swing door. And as part of the study, in order to arrive at that design, the design team did consider both a revolving door as a means of entry to the new office lobby and a vestibule, meaning a double doors leading into a vestibule entry. The issue at hand is that the space, the 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 change in slab height just inboard of the doors on Spring Street of over 3 foot constrains the area inboard of the entry. And the vestibule entry, which is the sketch on the right-hand side, creates some hazardous conditions and some very difficult ADA conditions because of the depth of the vestibule. And so the decision was made to go to a revolving door entry along with a swing door. So this page simply shows the thought process to arrive at what we feel is the more appropriate and safe condition, which is the revolver door entry. And so the proposal is to install the new office entry on the left-hand side with revolver and swing door in a framed clear glass storefront, and to install the freight door entry on the right-hand side in a solid storefront. In rendered view, this and in before and after photography, this starts to look like this. And so hold the entire building elevation and then a view of that entry with the existing photography, the existing existing condition in the photograph on the upper right-hand corner, and the proposed new building entry in the left-hand rendered view. So the proposed building entry is set back from the building line. The revolver itself is completely within the lot line. It's back of the lot line. And then the proposed new freight doors and swing entry door are set back 2 foot 5 inches from the lot line to allow for a safer condition on the outswing of the doors. So the material finishes that are proposed for the entry are limited and discrete. There's basically a combination of bronze, brushed antiqued bronze, which is the material on the panels covering the freight doors, the framing for the swing door and the revolvers, and an architectural brow extending above the storefront bay. And the brow allows for the installation of brushed stainless signage. And then low iron clear glass, which is the material, which is the entry doors, revolvers, and transom. And then a quartzite stone, which is inset into the slab, the floor slab, in front of the doors, the freight doors, the swing door, and the revolver. The articulation of the panels and of the brow extend the modules of the existing building articulation. So the design becomes an extension of the building's existing architectural articulation. The existing building has terracotta panels set with seaming, And that pattern of terracotta panels is extended onto the bronze panels, which sit on the freight door entry, with deeper seams where the terracotta panels have their own seams, and then hairline strikes where the terracotta panels have sort of indentations, horizontal indentations. The architectural brow also takes its modules from the existing building, where the seaming on the architectural brow continues the module of the building's fenestration above that. Above the architectural brow, the building windows will open into a drop ceiling. And so the glass will be installed, but a film will be installed on the glass because it becomes a spandrel condition. Seen from a view taken slightly more on the Mercer side, we start to see how we have the panels, the bronze panels with the seams, continuing the building module, the articulation of the building. We have the architectural brow above, continuing the articulation of the fenestration. And then the revolver and swing door to the left, with frames in antique brushed bronze, and the freight door entry to the right, also in antique brushed bronze. The fenestration above and the panels to left and right of the door will be finished in the same powder coat, are proposed to be finished in the same powder coat as the existing building, which is a bronze finish powder coat. The chosen address is 95 Spring. The building actually has the rights to 93 through 99 Spring. And so the proposal is 95 Spring. And as precedents to the design, we've pulled from precedents for the revolver, and the relevant precedent for the revolver is 686 Broadway, which is the Great Jones Distilling Company. Notably, the Great Jones Distilling Company has a similar floor level change inboard of the entry, which is why we think they also went with the revolvers. So we have a bronze framed revolver at 686 Broadway. We have the building's own articulation and design as the precedent for the articulation of the metal panels on the proposal. And then similar pendant and mounted signage at 110 Green Street and at 100 Crosby Street for the stainless steel signage that's proposed for the entry. We go through a series of sections cut through the proposed entry. And so here we see that the only element that extends beyond the building line proper is the architectural brow, which extends the allowed 1 foot across the building line, and that serves to mount the building signage and as a lighting position and provide some weather protection to the storefront. And so here's a further section on the left-hand side, and then this section being a section at the freight doors to the space, and then on the right-hand side, a detail section through the proposed architectural brow. The signage that's proposed is architecturally lit. It is grazed. It's proposed to be grazed by an LED cove light.
What does architecturally lit mean?
Meaning that it's not internally lit. There's no actual signage lighting within the sign. They're solid stainless steel letters and are simply lit from a remote lighting position on the underside of the brow.
And we see that as the white space in the.
Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realize. So yeah, so this is the signage, and the signage is would be solid stainless steel. And then this would be an LED cove light, a grazer. And so there would simply be a subtle grazing light across the front of the stainless steel signage.
Okay.
Apologies, I didn't realize you could see the cursor moving.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Yep. So from a materiality point of view, it's a limited palette, but it's a palette that we believe is in keeping with the building proper. And so the palette really is a antique finished brushed bronze finish for all of the framing and for the freight door paneling and for the brow. Low iron glass for the storefront itself, for the clear glass portions of the storefront. A flamed quartzite stone, which is a hard exterior grade stone for the stone directly in front of the doors, extending into the lobby itself. The replication of the powder coat for matching elements or elements that match the infill to the existing facade, and then a film on the a 3M film on the transoms at the spandrel level. The glass on the glass at the transom level. And that's the proposal.
Okay, just a moment. I'll check to see if I have any questions before we go on. Okay, Arturo, would you go through the list of?
Yes. At this point, is there anybody here in person from the public who wishes to speak on this application? If there's nobody. All right. We'll move to members of the public online.
Oh, Brian should speak now because he's a member of the public.
Oh, Brian, do you want to speak?
He's online.
I'm not signed up.
I know.
Nothing special here. You guys got it.
All right, we'll move to people online. Should I promote these families?
What about us folks?
You can certainly do it too.
Okay.
There are 3 people signed up to speak, but not on this.
All right, we'll move forward with the people who have their hands raised. Pete, I'm going to promote you. Oh, okay. Pete, would you like to make a comment?
Yes, thank you. It's a while to make the transfer from public to analyst. So I'm very familiar with this building because I live across the street, and I was very involved from the very beginning before demolition of the little building that was there. It seems that what the plan is to move the egress of a good portion of the people that use the building from Broadway to Spring Street, and therefore the need for these new doorways, which are very handsomely done. But I do have one concern, and that is that even though the revolving door does not cross the property line, the freight doors and the glass entry door both incrementally cross over the property line into the public sidewalk. Very small amount, but that's a very narrow, very congested sidewalk. So I would suggest that that whole wall be moved back a couple of inches, inset more, so there is no crossing in past the property line. If that can be done, So there's that. And then I do have a question. There is visible in the image that's on the screen now of the blade sign, where there's no other new signage that we're considering here.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just do want to bring to the attention of the committee that the previous tenant for years had an improper LED screen in the window facing Broadway right up against the glass that has now been removed. And we certainly hope that that improper window installation is not something we will see with the new tenant. And that's all I have for now. I would like to reserve the opportunity to speak a little more depending on what we hear. The inset, the door crossover is seen on your deck number 2, plan ground floor proposed. The cards are not numbered other than that. So, but I believe it's the 6th card in your deck.
Yes. So the doors are more deeply inset than is the norm. That's inset 2 foot 5 inches. I mean the face of the doors is inset 2 foot 5 inches. So there would be an approximate 6 to 7 inches outswing over the property line.
And that 6 inches on that sidewalk could be a problem. I did have one other question. Do you plan, you haven't talked about the changes in the sidewalk that are mentioned, shown in the plans? Is there a curb cut proposed?
Pete, if you
No.
could wind up, please.
No,
I'm trying to address all the items that this was not mentioned, Chanel, it's in the proposal, is to change the sidewalk. So I'd like to.
The only changes in the sidewalk are to address the grading of the sidewalk, because as you know, the street has a steep grade. And so the only changes in the sidewalk are to redo the concrete pavers, the concrete slab, in order to grade the sidewalk so that it meets the floor levels at the doors. They will be matched to the concrete, and no other changes are proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Is there anybody else from the public online who would like to speak? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to invited guests. Is there anybody from Village?
Probably not, because this is not in the village.
Okay. And we will then invite any board members who are not on the committee. All right.
Go
back to Brian.
All right, we'll move on to
How
the
are
committee.
you member of the public?
We'll go on to committee members. Anita.
Yeah, thank you. I have to say, honestly, I don't like this application. And there's several reasons for it. Number one, it's on Spring Street. Your examples and where we do see it are usually on Broadway, but there isn't. I know revolving doors are old too, but we don't have them in our neighborhood. Not that I know of. So I think it's a very non-historic invasion on Spring Street. And I also think that the freight doors are overly rendered. This is the ground floor is a very clean and simple. All the action is sort of on the face of this building. The windows, it's a very quiet ground floor architecture. And this has just about everything. 3 door heights, 1 with embellishments, 1 just plain old push the bar and get out. And then this invasion of a new revolving door. So I honestly have to say I'm opposed to this application. No questions, sorry, just a statement.
Other committee members?
That is, I'll just say for the record, that is a really congested spot for some reason. I usually walk in the street on.
Yeah, I
Spring
know
Street.
it well.
That locus right there. So I don't, you really have to move your facade, the front of the doors back 6 inches. You can't take public space like that.
Yes, you can legally. I think you can.
Really?
Actually, yeah. So I think he's within the code, but it doesn't mean in this case, because it's busy, it shouldn't be pushed back. But this is a emergency exit door. So it's not, they don't want you to use it. They want you to line up on the sidewalk and go around in a circle, which I think is not necessary here. And I know there was a reason, but I'm sure you could figure it out without the revolving doors.
Yeah. Chanel, do you want to wrap up or can I go first?
No, you go, and I'll always go last.
Yeah, I would say I would also agree with Anita. I think it feels a little dense and busy with differing heights, the height of the revolving door, the height of the swing door, which seems to try to align with the freight doors. But visually, I think you just see the swing door and the revolving door a little bit more distinctly. And I agree that encroaching into this more, pedestrian part of Spring Street does seem to not really resonate with the neighborhood.
Okay. Well, what we've heard here is that the principal interest of the building is in a place that it wasn't designed to be. So that's why we're confronting the Spring Street question. I wonder about the cladding on the freight doors. It looks like a combination of dolling up the doors and sort of trying to hide the fact that they're doors in the way the famous Ralph Lauren building on Madison Avenue cut an emergency door into the stone. And I wonder if it wouldn't be sort of respectful of the history if one of this building era can be said to have a history, or the what it is, if they were just not quite so fancy and certainly not clad in is a false representation of what they are. I believe we've heard all the questions and comments then. Okay. Thank you. We can move on then to the next one. The
Very good.
presenters, Arturo, are behind you. If you could organize, maybe if you could just move around, let them sit at the end, just so we can see them.
We have to
I'm
do
gonna
the application first.
Thank you very much.
The application is,
Oh, they're presenting. I thought they were.
I'm going to read the application, please. It should be quiet. Hello, could you just be quiet a moment? I'm going to read the application. Restore the front facade to its original condition, install new windows and entry doors, demolish portions of existing second floor rear structure, construct a rear addition at the third floor, construct a new fourth floor addition, and partially excavate the cellar for a new elevator pit. I hope that you are able to present in this order. The original thing was just very confusing about, it jumped about the building. If we can go in this order, we'd appreciate it.
Are you signed in here?
Yes.
Which one are you?
Mr. Fisher.
Okay, I'm gonna go through the panelists, and then you accept that, and you'll be able to share your screen.
All right.
Oops.
Sweet block. Sweet.
You told me what to do, so I just did.
Great. Hi, my name is Christopher Chiu. I'm the architect at JJ Neukom Architecture. I'm here with my colleague Eleni and Zhao Yang, and we are here to present 44 MacDougal. I'll go straight to the site plan itself. So where you see the red dots, that's our building. It's on MacDougal Street, sort of mid-block between King Street and Prince Street. It has text photos since in the 1940s. And you can see the original building. It's one of three-story sort of townhouse originally there. And there has a consistency of the upper, second, and third floor windows with continuous corners, and also a single pitch roof over the first floor level. On the first floor, though, our building here, this is, I think, it has different iteration in the past, and what's shown in the 1940s was a bakery storefront. Not sure what's the one next to it, but they have similar aesthetics, but they were not as similar as the second and third floor above. I think it's because depending on the commercial use at the time. And this is a facade, a photo of the existing condition. The building 44 MacDougal is the one that's highlighted in red. I'd like to point out at this point that in 2017, before 2017, the building on the adjacent to that, the neighbor, was in a similar condition as what you see now. There's on the right of our building with a black painted brick, white trims for the windows. And our firm, JG Neukom Architecture, actually did the renovation of 46 MacDougal. So, but this is a different client on 44 MacDougal. In our proposal, we are trying to replicate what we did in 46 MacDougal, just to create the harmony of the facade, in the sense that we wanted to bring back the idea of what we see in the historic photos of the same kind of aesthetics, colors, and we will show a bit more of the facade on the first floor. There's slightly a variation of it, but still in keeping with the, I guess, the sense of the original design. This is sort of the street view on MacDougal looking down. Again, those three facades right now, they are quite dissimilar. And our goal was to sort of harmonize the two, one that we did in 2017, the one that we're proposing right now. I also want to add that when we did the renovation in 2017 for 26 MacDougal, there was actually a penthouse added on top of the third story. And in this view, you do see the sort of planters in front. The penthouse was sort of set back from the facade. And on the street view, on view A, which is where you stand on King Street, you see very little of that penthouse currently. And in our new proposal for 44 MacDougal, we are also adding a penthouse, and it's also set back, and we'll show you in a later slide that it's also quite minimum in terms of visually sightline to the building. Just some more detailed shots of what we did on 46 MacDougal. You can see the brick so as I mentioned before, the brick used to be painted black as what you see on the right-hand side, which is the current renovation we're working on. And we intend to bring back that same color tone of the brick, as well as all the window trims. They're all painted white right now. We have a paint removal that we want to bring back to the same coloration as the original lintel and sill. Okay. This is a sort of aerial view of 44 MacDougal over here. And the current building in the back, they have a sort of a step facade as it goes up from first, second, and third floor. And in keeping with the idea of what we want to do to 44 to mimic what's been done in 46 MacDougal, you can see from this view too, in the rear facade is sort of a single plain facade with consistent windows up from second to the penthouse level. So similarly, in the later slides, we'll show that we will reorganize the back facade to have the same idea aesthetics to that. This is just to show the current condition of the rear facade with the different floor setback and the sort of the terrace level. Looking at the
You know
plan,
what year that was from? Was that original?
which one?
Yeah, those,
These
what's that
pictures,
structure built, do you think?
these structures?
Yeah.
I do not have the information. Yeah, we didn't find, we weren't able to find pictures of what was in the rear facade a while ago.
It's not original. You're not saying it's original.
I don't think they were.
Could we wait for the questions until she's finished, please?
Okay, moving on. So this is the existing floor plans of the 44 MacDougal. And there are three things that I want to highlight in the alteration and renovation of this project. So one is that we just saw on the aerial view, there is this staggering of the rear facade. So what we want to do is sort of make it cleaner and have them set back at a certain distance away, which is a 20 feet setback, which is the new zoning allowed for rear yard. And also at the same time, we are adding a penthouse floor, which has the same setback on the rear facade. So those are the 2 points. The third point is, I forgot to mention in the original first floor, the text photo was showing it as a bakery, and then sometimes in the 1980s, I think, it was converted to what you see here with garage doors for a car. And I think the sidewalk has a curb cut for a car to get into the building. So in the new owners, they want to keep that garage in the front, but we did not need the second entrance. There were two entrances in the front. This entrance was to go upstairs to the apartments on the second and third floor. The entrance on the right was to the rear first floor. I think at the time it was like an artist studio. So it was separate from the living spaces on the second and third floor. Now that this is just a single family home, we eliminated one of the entrance and enlarged the entrance for the single family home from the first up to the penthouse level on this side. So we kind of extended the car garage and the car garage door this way. So those are the three main, I guess, general exterior elevation things that we're showing. This is a 3D rendering of the front facade. So as I was explaining just now, the renovation that we did in 2017 for 46 MacDougal, there was a penthouse that was set back. And on King Street, we will show you a view. You don't actually see, you see a little corner of that as you push down King Street to MacDougal. And our penthouse is set back slightly further. I think it's 15 feet from the facade. And it has, when you look at the pictures, most of it is also obstructed by the views. You don't actually see that. There's maybe a small little section of it that you see. So that's one. This is the existing section of the building. So just trying to show you what we are doing. The gray out area is the overlay of the existing. So we are on the second floor, we are pushing back the facade to align with the upper floors with the 20-foot setback. And then with the penthouse that has a 15 feet setback on the front, we are trying to keep the sight line so they don't actually see anything from MacDougal. So this is the 3D views from what you see on the street level at MacDougal as well as on King Street. View one from King Street. So you do see a bit of the front here, but most of it is blocked by the neighbor's penthouse. In actuality, because of the site condition, we have trees. We built a mock-up and we actually don't actually see that because of the foliage. We tried to take a picture of it in the winter and most of it is also blocked. You can see a bit of the neighbor's one, but ours is somewhat behind that too. So very minimum, hopefully, obstruction to the views. In terms of the facade, as I was explaining in the beginning, we are trying to match what we have done in 46 MacDougal and replicate it into 44 MacDougal. So naturally, in actuality, we're trying to sort of harmonize the aesthetics of the two buildings. I put in back this page just to remind you of what it was before. So on 44 right now, they are white lintels, white sill, windows, also white painted. The bricks are black. And this is another jumbo of the garage level itself. And what we are trying to do is we're trying to remove the paint from the brick to get to the point where you see what you see on the 46 MacDougal as well, in terms of the brick finish. And we are also replacing the lintels on the second floor to have the same profile as the one on the third floor, so that they have the same aesthetics as well. And the windows, we are changing to, there's a picture that shows the existing 2/2 double hung. So we want to bring that back in as well and have them in black frames, similar to what is on the neighbor's building. So we have description of the different materials that sort of highlight the sort of the similarity to the original renovation 46 MacDougal. Going back to the front facade on the first level, I wanted to get a few sort of a more close-up shot of what's right now. The renovation done in 1980s to create this garage. For some reason, they have bumped up the facade by at least a brick wide from the original face plane of the neighbor's building. So what we are suggesting, proposing, is to remove that facade and bring it back and align it with the adjacent building on 46 MacDougal. And then, as I explained before, because of the reconfiguration of the space behind, we have sort of an asymmetrical facade with a single door on the right, and then the garage doors on the left here. And that's what you see here. But visually, we are trying to keeping with the aesthetics of the upper transom windows and sort of the wood panelized facade below it that we have on the 46 MacDougal. So I can look back at the elevation rendering is trying to give that harmonious view of the first floor. And the penthouse is similar to the penthouse on the 46 MacDougal with a metal roof, sloping metal roof, and metal frame doors and windows. And we have additional brick piers on the side just for programmatic requirements. We didn't want to bring the glass windows all the way to the edge of the building. Okay. So these are just the templates of the materials that we're using for the facade and the roof. And we do have guardrails minimum on the sides that is not visible to it. And then going back to the rear facade, so we had the step condition. So that's the existing of the step rear facade. So our proposal is this is the original, and we're proposing to create a single plane facade that is 20 feet setback from the rear property line. It is, I think, about 10 feet in front of the neighbors, just because at that time of the renovation, that was the 30 feet setback requirements. And currently we only require 20 feet setback here. So in terms of massing, we're trying to replicate that volume. There's a view on the other edge. But in terms of materials, we are also reusing the same material palette as we had for 46 MacDougal. And it's brick piers on the edge, black metal frame and glass for windows and doors. And the span rooms are, I think we're using absolute black stone, which is what we have in 46 MacDougal as well. So there's a slight height differential, but it's only, I think, 3 inches higher. Okay. And but the roof itself is set back, as you can see from this view here. So it's not intruding the front. And this is a sort of side-by-side comparison of what's at 46 MacDougal and our elevation on 44 MacDougal with the different materials. These are the information of the materials, the stone and the brick. The last, I don't think this has a lot of intrusion to the view in the 20 feet terrace that we created on top of the first floor. We just have 6-foot fence around it and a sort of skylight for light and air to the room downstairs on the first level. The fence are just cementitious planks, vertical planks, on all 3 sides. Simple, clean, and we have just stone pavers as the finish to it. That's it. And I apologize, I did not include in the original deck, but we did a mock-up of the penthouse. It's still there right now, so we took some pictures and basically you don't really see much of it, but that's the view of the mock-up. That's it.
Nicely done.
Several questions.
Sure.
I think it's easier to go backwards. In the rear facade,
Yes.
is there a picture of the existing condition of the upper floors? I didn't see it.
Upper floors, the rear facade.
The upper floors of the rear facade. We saw an addition. What do we?
The photo.
No, I'm looking there. Okay, is that the top floor?
That's the existing third floor, the top floor of the buildings. Yes.
Okay, and underneath that is then a 2-story addition. Is that correct?
Underneath, this is a second floor. Facade. Yes.
Okay. Well, so the top floor is the original rear facade. Is that correct?
Yes, it's like standing on the second floor roof. The first.
Yes.
I'm sorry, we're losing your sound.
I could, you have to speak up louder.
Yeah,
So that's your.
the first time picture, like you are standing on the second floor roof and looking at the third floor, like massing.
Well, I guess this question is this the
Yes.
original?
Okay, I'm just trying to determine what is original that exists on the rear facade. Is the top floor of the rear facade, is that the original plane and window openings?
I do not know the answer. I can find out because when we got to the project, I think this was the existing condition,
Yes.
and we wasn't able to find.
You know what he wants to know,
Yes,
right?
where the
Like
line
the
is.
core of the building.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and the penthouse, how far is it set back from the property line?
15 feet. 15 feet.
And how high is it at its highest point? So
the highest point is 52 foot 8 inches to the peak of the roof.
From the roof line.
37 to 52 minus 8. Do the math.
Like 15.
15 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
Is how high from the roof line to the peak?
Roof line,
Roof line
to it minus 37. 15, about
15.
about 15 feet.
Okay.
Yes.
The windows on the front are not matching the next door, is that correct? Next door is 1/1.
Yes,
And then these are 2/2.
that's right.
So that's the only distinguishable difference
Yes.
in the upper floors.
We're trying to match back to the original text photos that we have taken in 1940s of this
Okay,
building.
but they don't match is the point. Right. Okay, and if you could show I think the plan of the garage door would be the best thing to see of it.
This one.
It's essentially widening it to include the, well, is there one of when the entrance was there? You're just including the entrance width with a larger garage door, is that?
Yes, so let me show you the original plan. So the original plan has two front entrances.
Right, but you're just,
I'm
to
doing
the-
one.
to the,
Yes.
I'll go back to that one.
Yes.
To the north side of the entrance door that's being eliminated.
Yes.
And you're just extending the garage door that much wider.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I believe that is all of my questions for the moment. Arturo, go ahead and I'll pick up others, I'm sure, as we go.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody here from the public who would like to speak?
Which one is this?
Yes, this is 44 MacDougal.
Oh, okay. No, I don't have any hands on that.
All right, then we'll move to online. Anybody online who would like to speak?
Oh, it's Andrew Brown.
All right. Promote to panelists.
Hi, good evening.
Oh, could you just put up the, excuse me, the picture of the two facades? The original and I think that would be good. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, sir.
That's okay. So good evening. Just a couple of quick things. I know, Chenault, you had asked about whether or not that third floor rear facade was original. Here's what I can tell you, based on the landmarks designation report, as well as the date of construction, this appears to have been a 2.5-story federal style house originally, which would have had a peaked roof, which means that the third floor is dates to the 1875 addition to the building when it was expanded to full 3 stories. So the that rear facade that you see at the third floor would not be from 1826, but probably would be from 1875, at least in terms of the plane. I can't speak to whether or not the material and the actual openings are the same as they would have been in
That's what we
1875.
refer to as an identifiable historical period.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The only other thing that I wanted to sort of raise, we have not fully reviewed this yet, so Village Preservation doesn't have a position on it. I think one of the things that we would grapple with, and we would urge the committee to sort of grapple with as well, number 44 as well as number 46 were both originally 2.5-story federal style houses that were changed over time in the late 19th, early 20th, and late 20th century as different kind of layers of history were added in this neighborhood. As is typical in those cases, as those layers of history were added, they went from being identical houses that were designed together to having differing and varying elements that reflected the ways in which they evolved. The proposal seems to be to make at least the front facade, and in a lot of ways the rear facade, of the two buildings identical again. And I guess one of the questions would be, given that these buildings have evolved separately over time, is it really appropriate to have them become so identical again? Or would it be more consistent with the historical evolution of the neighborhood to keep some elements that distinguish the two from one another? That's a question which I know we will grapple with as we look at this, and I would just urge the committee to think about that as well.
Can you identify any particular details that you would?
Sure. So for instance, right now, as you can see, the facades of the building look different. They're painted differently. The ground floor facades are somewhat different. The rear facades certainly are very different. And these are all reflections of ways in which the buildings evolved and had different trajectories over the course of their lives. The new version of the buildings would have them looking very much more similar, almost as if they were built together originally. And I think there's some questions about whether or not that is a sort of genuine reflection of the evolution of these buildings as well as this area in general.
Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any other members from the public who would like to speak? If not, we will move on to board members. Any board members and then committee members. Let's go.
Now? Okay. Well, I think it's a very nice project. Well done, beautifully done, actually. And I get Andrew's point. I guess I wondered if you could just, I can see the differences on the ground floor. I like the difference of the windows, very nice, and also that it is a historic. But is this storefront recessed more than the one you did earlier? The actual inset? Because I noticed there was a shadow line, and I'm just wondering, because that would make it read quite differently, even if they're treated similarly.
Yes. So as you can see from the rendering, the garage doors and the front door is slightly recessed from the plane of the facade. And that has to do with the technical portion of a garage door. We need it to roll up behind. And because we have transom level, so it was slightly recessed. If you look at the plan, they are recessed from the facade. The facade line is here, but the doors and the garage door is slightly.
And the neighboring building?
The neighbor, they are flush.
So
Yeah,
that reads quite differently.
Yeah.
And also so I understand his point, and sometimes we try to harmonize buildings and sometimes we try to shake things up, but I think you did a lovely job. My only other comment would be on the back massing of, we now have 3 little row houses and each time they step forward, they step into the garden a little bit more. And then to Andrew's point, then they're identical almost, but they're not even in the same plane. So it's a little confusing to me. And I understand it's to take advantage of every square foot that you're entitled to, but maybe there's a way to tip your hat a little bit more to the history of the building and not just maximize. And also this kind of is a shame. Even if you step back the upper floor or something, you know, usually we like to express what would be the original volume of, let's say, a federal style. It's tipping your hat. I mean, we're not expecting a fully pitched roof or anything, but it might be good to differentiate that a little bit. Just one more revision there if you are up for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other committee members? Okay. Should I'll make some comments. Yes, so I'd like to compliment you on the setback for the penthouse. I think at 15 feet, that's actually pretty well set back. Could we go to page 23? So I think this is also in line with the comments from Andrew and Anita. I think when you look really closely, if you can zoom in, and just, you know, right here, right, like comparing the 2 facades at the ground floor level, you do get a good amount of differentiation, at least from the ground level, just like in Front Street level. So if you can zoom into the proposed elevation a little bit. I think going from the two double doors with a garage to just a single door and a garage, you lose a lot of that. Just like a little bit more cacophony, like on the second building, you have a bunch of different doors that you can see. And I think that pays a little bit more tradition to the historical nature. And I think you lose a lot of that with just a garage door and a door. And so I think that's where I'm kind of struggling with how does that respect the landmark historical pictures that you showed us at the very beginning of the presentation. And then I think also to Anita's point, I think the 20-foot versus 30-foot setback on the back, on the rear area, it's tough because yes, like that law has changed, that gives you more space. But I think, it's just every building a little bit by bit, right? It goes further back, it goes higher. And eventually all these, I don't know what's going to happen with all of these buildings, they're all just going to become some cave space at the back, or maybe they'll kind of refrain. But I too wish it would be a little bit less extreme, maybe. And then the only question I had for you was, do you have a rendering of the rear facade planks and what that might look like?
No, but we have a sample picture of them.
Just because it was kind of rendered as transparent, but I don't think it's going to be very transparent. Right?
The fence,
the fencing.
No, it's basically concrete planks.
Yeah, yeah, just because in the rendering it was like a little transparent. And I think it's probably going to be more like the building next to it, right? Very solid walls. Okay. Yeah, that's all I have. Chanel?
It's my turn.
Yes, Chanel.
Okay. Would you go back to that, the two houses together that we're looking at, the front? Yep. No, the new version.
The new
version. And again, if you'd enlarge the rendering. As I look at it, what really disturbs me is that the transom windows match. It looks like a separate renovation was done for the upper floors. The fact that they don't match, which I think is commendable. I would suggest that some variation in the transom of the new project would help, first of all, unify with the top floors and also help with this differentiation question. Another question might be as to whether the paint on the lower part should be different between the two. This is much like we frequently have of two adjacent row houses being combined, and we want to make dead sure that they still read as two separate buildings. And the way that the ground floor is treated now, it really looks like it's one building with two not matching tops. My other thing is about the rear facade again. If you could go back to, we had a picture of the upper floor that is from a renovation, certainly in a long ago time, and typical. The existing condition. Yeah, there. What we have said and the commission have said over and over and over is that at least the topmost floor should, in the case of its being preserved, which is clearly the case here, to its historic condition, not original, but historic, that should be preserved to recall what it was. And then the floors below, there's been a good deal of leeway about how much to do, how modern to go, how wide a window wall might be. So that that's my other comment. Everything is done now, Arturo.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. And,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
and if you'll upgrade the Horatio Street, I'll read it. The application is to restore the front facade, remove the existing storefront, replace the existing floor joist, roof, and rebuild the rear facade, construct a rooftop addition, excavate the cellar and rear yard to the rear lot line.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, thank
Yes.
you.
Great. Can you hear me and see me?
Yeah, we
Okay.
don't see anything.
Okay, I'm
Either you
about to
or
share
the-
my screen. Hold on, bring it up. All right, can everyone see the presentation for
Yeah,
80
It's fine,
Horatio?
yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Can you enlarge which
Yes.
whatever you're talking about?
Yeah,
Just
this
with-
is just,
with so
this
many
is really
articles.
just a cover sheet. This isn't
Right.
that important. And you'll see this again later in the presentation.
Okay.
So, hello, committee members. I'm Jackie Pudu-Vallon, JPD Preservation Consulting. I'm here today with the architects, Rob Hegedus and Kevin Inuasti of Allen Kilcoyne Architects, as well as the engineer, John Hinchcliffe of GMS. The application we're showing you tonight is for 80 Horatio Street, an application to restore the front facade, to rebuild the rear facade, to enlarge window openings at the rear facade, and to excavate under the house and the rear yard. Okay, the next page. Okay, so just to orient us, 80 Horatio is located on the south side of the street between Greenwich and Washington Streets in the Greenwich Village Historic District. The building is described in the Greenwich Village designation report as a 5-story brick building constructed in 1853. A Department of Buildings alteration application from 1909 documents that the ground floor storefront was installed then, as well as small bathroom windows at the center bay, on the floors above and on both facades, the front and rear facades. And what the building, this is what the building looked like in the 1940s. And here are sheets from that application. Let me know if you'd like me to zoom in so you can really read the script handwriting. Here it's where you can see my cursor circling. It says, it is proposed to cut windows in front and rear for toilets and to remove the front wall in the first floor and carry upper walls on guides and columns. So on the left are photos of what the building looked like at the time of designation, which is circa 1968. And on the right are close-up photos of the later alteration as it appears today. Please note that the storefront itself has been altered since the 1910s. Its windows and doors have been replaced. Its bulkhead beneath the windows they were brought forward from where they're shown in the historic photos, and they're also now made of just painted plywood. There was also a cornice with a sign band on top of it in the 1940s, and that's just parged material above the storefront now. So here are existing so this is just some streetscape photos for context to show you what the north and south sides of the street look like. You'll note that 80 Horatio is an anomaly in this context, and that there are no other storefronts on the block. In general, to find a mid-block storefront on a relatively narrow, more quiet, less busy pedestrian street is different. Let's see, and as we'll explain a little later, storefronts in the village are usually found on wider, more busy pedestrian streets or on corner conditions. Here are existing and proposed front facade elevations. There is restorative work proposed at these elevations, but also the following commission level changes. The removal of the bathroom windows, patching that masonry to match the existing, and the removal of the fire escape, and the removal of the existing storefront and doorway, and the installation of new ground floor infill that is meant to replicate the original appearance of this building. However, since we haven't been able to find documentation of what this exactly looked like prior to the 1940s, the new ground floor design is somewhat conjecture. We looked for precedents for other 1850s houses in the district that lacked a stoop or, pretty much a at-grade entrance like this building has, and we did not find many. Therefore, 83 Jane Street, which is just around the corner from this building, served as our main design inspiration because it too has that unique, almost at-grade entrance and a uniquely narrow entrance door with very narrow side lights. So let's see. Here's just the existing front elevation and context with its neighboring buildings. You'll note there's also precedent with the immediate buildings for rooftop bulkheads. And here is the proposed front elevation and context, which we hope shows a more harmonious condition with its neighbors, with the restoration of a residential appearance to the bottom of this building. Oh, and I should also note, part of this application is to construct a bulkhead, which you can see here in elevation. And we'll give you more detail on that, obviously, later in the presentation. Here are photos of the existing conditions at the storefront. Again, this storefront structure has been replaced, and what you're looking at is painted plywood and wood frame windows, which are also in pretty, rotten condition. Here you can see close-up elevations of the existing and proposed ground floors and their existing and proposed sidewalk plans. The sidewalk is currently concrete, and it's going to be replaced with bluestone flags, which would have been the original paving material. Here are the existing and proposed ground floor sections, in case you have questions about how the restored wall will be built. 3 wides of brick, traditional construction with window lintels and sills. Here are more panoramic views to show the north and south sides of the street again for context. And for additional context, some corners nearby where you do find some nearby storefronts, but again, they're more typical of corners, not a mid-block condition and on a small, less busy street like this. Here are some images of doorways that served as inspiration for the new doorway at 80 Horatio. You'll note the narrow side lights and divided light transoms. The window grill at 79 Jane served as the design inspiration for the new grills that would be at the ground floor windows of 80 Horatio, and a globe light with an armature, which is a typical design from the early 20th century. And here's the rear facade in context with its neighbors. Sorry, this is, it's hard to get these photos when you're standing in the back of these rear yards, so it's a somewhat skewed image, but we wanted to be able to show you exactly what the backs of the neighboring buildings look like. So, unfortunately, the rear facade of this house has pretty much been ruined, because at some point it was coated with thorough coat, which is a material that's really meant for application on concrete as a waterproofing material. And when it's put on brick, it really just serves to lock in moisture, which deteriorates the brick underneath, prevents the brick from being able to breathe. You get accelerated mortar loss and loss of fire skin on the brick. So part of this proposal is to rebuild this entire rear facade. You'll note that at the top floor, it looks like at some point there was a rebuilding of this parapet. The engineer might want to comment on that later, but my own opinion is, to me, it looks like this top floor above these windows has already been rebuilt at some point. The brick looks different, and it's, again, not coated with thorough coat. Okay, 17. So here are the existing and proposed rear elevations side by side. So So in terms of design, the hierarchy of fenestration will be maintained in this design. There will be smaller punched openings at the top floors. The large glazed opening that goes from the basement through the third floor will have wide mullions to reflect where floor plates would be. And the top of the wall will be crowned with a nice brick dentiled cornice, which this building likely originally had, like the houses across the street on Jane Street do. Here's the existing rear facade in context and elevation, and the proposed rear in context and elevation. I should note here, part of this proposal is to excavate under the house to deepen its cellar and to also excavate out through the rear yard. These are some detailed photos and detailed drawings to show you what the existing parapet looks like at the rear and what the proposed look would be with a brick dentiled cornice. These photos were actually taken of houses across the way on Jane Street. So here's some historic maps that speak to the history of this building and how the interior of this block has changed over time. As you would expect, in the upper left from 1852, it shows a homogeneous block of row houses. It also shows that, again, 80 Horatio was not originally built with a storefront. There's one dot on the lot noted on that Paris map, which denotes a brick house. Let me zoom in on that. So when you see a one dot, that means a residence. If there were two dots there, it would mean it was a residence with a storefront. So that was mid 19th century shorthand on fire insurance maps. And what we're showing you here are existing conditions at the roof. You'll note this alarmingly leaning bulkhead. The roof itself is sloping in various directions. It's very soft. You are literally walking on water bubbles when you're walking on it. I didn't feel safe up there. It was an experience I don't want to repeat. But that's looking east, west, north, south on the roof. Here are existing and proposed roof plans. And down here, let me zoom in on this. So we should have noted on these plans, but the bulkhead is said to be set back almost 15 feet from the front facade. And you can see it would be an elevator bulkhead, stairway bulkhead. There would be screens for mechanicals and the required 3'6" new railings at the front and at the rear. These are existing and proposed sections through the roof. So again, you're looking at on the bottom here is where the proposed section is. You're looking at mechanical screen here, the bulkhead itself. And let me zoom in on this for you. In this proposed section, you can see that the bulkhead itself will be about 10.5 feet tall. Again, set back almost 15 feet from the front facade. Here are axonometric views. So this is existing, looking at the building from the front and from the rear, and proposed to give you more of a sense of the change in massing at the roof. These are just these are roof elevations to show you exactly what the bulkhead will look like. And here's photos of the mock-up that was built, taken from the roof. So again, the screens were mocked up, the bulkhead itself, the railings. And here are photos documenting visibility from the street. So you don't see it when you're standing across the street from the building, and you don't really see it when you're walking a little bit to the east or west on Horatio. It's once you cross Greenwich and you're looking at it from across Greenwich that you do catch a corner of the elevator bulkhead, which you can see in these zoomed in images. So again, the zoomed in image is not really what you're seeing. We're just trying to explain to you what you're seeing at a distance when you're across Greenwich. And again, another view standing at the more near corner, near Greenwich Street, but still on Horatio. So you're catching a corner of the bulkhead up here. And another similar view from that same opposite corner. And just to show you on this proposed block plan where there are other rooftop bulkheads on neighboring houses in the block, there are many. An existing building section, proposed building section, giving you the sight line to show that nothing proposed on the roof will be visible from directly across the street, and also showing you how the floor plates are also proposed to change, to be replaced, and the extent of excavation, which is proposed to go out to the rear lot line with very large planters to be placed on top of the rear yard to be large enough to accommodate large plantings such as trees. Existing and proposed cellar plans. Existing and proposed first floor plans. So again, you can see the intention is to have very large plantings in the back, but at the same time to excavate out to the extent of the rear lot line. Second floor existing and proposed. Third floor existing and proposed. Fourth floor existing and proposed. Fifth floor. And again, the roof plans. And here's a rendered view of what the rear of the house would look like. Some detail images showing you what the proposed, window assemblies would look like, those materials, and a bit of a close-up look at the condition of the brick at the rear facade. This is pretty much typical, and the intention is to match that that brick as much as possible with new brick. These are just some images of some similar types of large glazed openings approved at row houses within this district. I'm sure you've seen all of these before, but I do want to point out that 75 Jane, 75 and 77 Jane, and 79 and 81 Jane, which are directly across the lot from this building, are examples of a 3-story glazed opening being approved previously, as well as a light well, which you can see here in the rear yard. That's something that's also being shown for our rear yard. I should go back to that plan, explain that. Cellar. So you can see, let me see, hold on. Oh God, sorry, I just did something. Hold on. Hit the wrong button. Okay. Okay, so you can see here in this proposed plan for the rear yard, there's also a light well that will give a little more light into that basement. So examples of large, as I said, large glazed openings toward the bottom of these houses previously approved in the district. Proposed rear facade section and plan details in case you want to look at those. Rear yard plan showing just change in elevation. And that's our proposal. We look forward to your questions and comments. Thank you.
Right. Chanel, did you have a comment?
Is the engineer going to give any presentation or just for questions?
He's here to answer your questions.
Okay, there's one question I'll put first that we had posed in evaluating the application is to do with the excavation going to the lot line rather than 5 feet back, and what permits this.
Okay, would one of the architects or the engineer like to address this? It is allowable by building code. It's just that I could say from Landmark's perspective, it's something that they've consistently asked for at hearings because they want to see large plantings maintained in rear yards, but that's really been in response to community concerns. So it's not something that Landmark's really mandates, but it is something that they consistently look for in these types of presentations because they know, community members can often be concerned about this. However, I want to point out again that part of this proposal is to have these very large planters at the back that would be able to accommodate very large plantings. So they do intend to have trees in the backyard still.
Okay. Then I'll do what is sometimes presented before we have before we have questions, could the engineer or someone comment on underpinning
Yeah.
all around the belt? And then just in general, what is involved in the excavation?
Okay,
How
so-
deep it is, how underpinning and so forth.
Okay, I mean, I can only see some of you. I don't know if the architect and engineer are raising their hands.
Yeah, who might it be? Okay,
Uh,
John.
John Hinchcliffe is one name. Rob Hegedus is another name. Kevin
All right.
Inuasti. Do you see them?
Yep, promoting them right now.
Great, thank you.
Well, I'll just put the questions if that's easier. How deep is the excavation under the house? How much deeper than it is?
Let's see if we can zoom in here. Yeah, you're right. We should have put that as an easy to read dimension. I'm sorry we didn't think of that. Okay, so I'm sorry. So here's John Hinchcliffe. Let's turn it over to him.
Hi, my name is John Hinchcliffe. I'm
is
a
the
structural
cellar-
engineer from GMS.
Oh, is the cellar the full area of the house? And how much deeper is it being excavated?
The existing cellar is the full footprint of the existing house, and my collection is that the proposed excavation goes from something like elevation +8 to elevation 0. So it's roughly 8 feet.
And then in the garden, it's the total of those two figures, right? Which is how much?
It would be almost 11 feet.
And how much of the perimeter is to be underpinned, if any?
John, would you like to answer
The
that one?
neighboring properties. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So we're still conducting test pits of the neighboring properties, but the expectation is that we will underpin the existing party wall that's to the east and the existing independent lot line wall that's to the west, and that we would also
That being
underpin
of this house, the independent lot line wall.
the independent lot line wall of the neighbor. The proposal is to replace the independent lot line wall of this house so that we can put an adequate seismic joint and separation.
So the full depth of the house on both sides is being underpinned.
That's correct.
And what about the garden?
In the garden, there's a retaining wall to the east after you get to the rear of the house that would be underpinned. And then the rear of 78 Horatio has a separate structure that I believe is also an independent residence, and that structure would be underpinned as well.
And what about the space on the other side between? Is the whole thing underpinned? That's the question.
The rear yard to the whole line to the east would be expected to be underpinned. The building to the west would be underpinned where their structure, the rear yard in the west is undeveloped, and that soil would be retained with a tangent wall system along with whalers and rakers.
Okay, got it. Arturo, please.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public, either in person or online, who would like to speak?
John Hinchcliffe is the architect, right? He signed up to speak, but
Right. Okay. Anybody else from the public? Going once, going twice. All right. Are there any members from invited guests? VP who would like to speak? If not, then we'll move on to board members and committee members. Anita.
I'm always good for a comment or two. Let's see. In a way, I'm not even sure what it is that bothers me, but the front facade looks very out of sync with other buildings that I'm familiar with. I think it's because of the height and the number of windows that are all appear to be identical in size. So it's not really a tenement building, but it's also not a row house. And it just looks very, doesn't seem to fill up. And you know what? The fire escape and the window with the little bathroom window sort of helped it, in my opinion. So it doesn't have that anymore. And now it feels kind of empty, sort of like there's not enough teeth in the smile or something.
It's funny you say that, if I may interrupt you, because it reminds me of my dentist's office on the Upper East Side with an entrance and windows. And
you think he had an impact here? Well, it's just it's the ratio of the brick to the glass, I guess. I mean, I think you understand my
it's a strange building type. Like, we've been wrestling with this. This is not something you find typically in the village from the mid-19th century.
Well, it's not a village. It's not A-type at all. I think that's kind of the problem. And I wish you would work a little harder. I'm not sure what that is, but I think it's not as good as you can make it, honestly. I think a little more tweaking, and and then it's got this super residential kind of, I don't know, door that doesn't feel right either. So,
well, I hear you, but there's like really no prototypes for us to follow. There's just documentation that tells us it originally didn't have a storefront. So therefore we have to figure out, what would a residential entrance and windows have looked like on this building?
I understand that, Jacqueline, of course, but I don't think you've succeeded, in my humble opinion, and I don't think you're far off, and I'm challenging you. That's what I'm doing.
My God.
Well, really, it's not built yet.
I know.
Why not make it as great as you can? A few more comments, and then I'll be quiet. The light fixture is a no-go. We are not putting in a big globe light like that. I don't think that is appropriate. Also, honestly, I think the gate on the ground floor, I'm not very happy with those either. They're not really, they're sweet enough, but especially at this scale, they look like sort of those fences, the metal fence that are pulled apart. I think it would be nice if you had more ironwork, a little more design in that. And finally, you didn't talk at all about the sidewalk, the bluestone slab. Are these bluestone slabs? Are you real slabs of stone?
Yes.
So what size are these and how thick are they?
They're roughly 4.5 feet by 4.5 feet by 4 inches.
Nice. Well, I love that. I also would like to see what the tree gate guard is. As part of your application, you're changing it. So that's sort of the iron vocabulary. And you're putting real brownstone. Do you have a section through the brownstone base area?
Yes.
Brownstone base.
And the intention is to get actual brownstone. It comes from India these days.
Yeah, but wouldn't you cut it into the brick I'm not sure that detail is is right. I mean, again, I haven't done that particular detail in a while, but you actually insert the stone. If you have a real stone, you have to set it into the masonry wall. I mean, the brick wall. So I would just, doesn't look right to me. I think there might be, it shouldn't be quite so tacked on. It should be integral to the masonry. And that's it. Thank you.
Oh, I have a question. May I? What type of light fixture would you think appropriate here?
Something with more metal. Yeah, just more metal, more. To me, that's a very, first of all, I think it's gonna get broken right away. That's just too tempting. That's just my urban experience. But, a lantern, or maybe, actually what I prefer in this kind of condition is like an invisible light. I mean, I know it's a decorative feature, but it's almost like the only one. So it's kind of lonely. Is you could also insert, you need for multiple is this a multiple dwelling?
No, I think it's always been a multiple dwelling, but it's going to become a single family home.
Go ahead, you want to say something?
No.
I would hunt around for more metal, more protection, but also you could just do an invisible light, which is often what I go for, just because.
Okay.
I like to see the light, but I don't like to necessarily see the source.
Okay.
Any other comments from committee members? Thank you, Anita.
Okay.
I'll go.
Well, I will talk about the back. I remember back in the 90s when I was on this committee, and these larger rear facade, when these larger fenestrations were introduced, this committee was really opposed to it because they wanted to maintain the historic.
They bored us out, Sean.
You kind of ahead of my story, yeah. But I am just mentioning that. But now, so I think to say no would be trying to push the clock back, but I just think it's too much. The other examples that were shown were not as glassy.
Definitely, I agree with you, very much so. It's too much. And there's no expression of the structure. I mean, I think that would help you too. It's like, it's like taking a big piece out of a cake. And it seems like it needs more expression of the structure, in my opinion, both vertical and horizontal.
It's a nice way of putting it.
I'm glad. I want to be nice, I do.
We appreciate it.
Okay. I will go, and then Chanel, I'll pass it on to you. I think for me, to Anita's point, looking at the front facade, it also just feels very uniform. And I think what's tough here is looking at the historical storefront, looking at the adjacent buildings on the south side of the block, you kind of get this feeling of a storefront cornice, right? We're losing the storefront, but could we retain some sort of that division? I'm looking at slide 5. If you look at slide 5. Could we retain some of that division between the first floor and the upper floors? And I think then it wouldn't seem just like this building that keeps on going up and up and up. Especially, and I think that kind of relates to my second comment, which is you're losing the storefront, which I think is not out of character for the village. There are a lot of commercial first floor one-off buildings here and there in the West Village. But if you're choosing to remove the storefront, then I think it feels like the bulkhead is out of character with the other bulkheads in the neighborhood. So if you look at, I think you had it on slide 34. This is a massive bulkhead compared to the other buildings surrounding it. And so that also just gives me pause that, you know, you're gaining the first floor that used to be a commercial storefront. You're also adding a massive bulkhead relative to the ones that are around it. And so that gives me pause, and I'm not sure, you know, if that can be reduced in some way, but I think that would be great. And then finally, I think on the rear facade, you know, okay, let me pull this up. On the rear facade, I do applaud keeping the top two floors in terms of the historical character of the windows. And I think, you know, like you guys said, the industrial fenestration windows, that's just what happens now, unfortunately. But,
Well, also, I think, if I don't mind adding to that, in looking at the rear facade, it's almost like, well, you know, that is obviously the stage. Woof. You're going to light up at night and it's going to be a good show. But all the little windows, it's like the little windows compared to this huge, it's not very compatible. It makes the little windows look smaller and the bigger windows look bigger. And I don't think that is a good thing here.
yeah, I think, yeah. So, and this also just goes back to that side of that street that has nothing like this. I mean, the comparisons that were showing, I think, were from a lot of different other buildings in the neighborhood, but on that side of the street, especially the adjacent buildings, have nothing like this.
Yeah. And I think we have accepted it. I mean, we, you know, it is not visible from a public thoroughfare. But we're still commenting on the overall aesthetic impression. It's not only about the historic, it's also, okay, well, if you're going to do that, how does it look? And could it be better? So
it feels a little dense. I think, like, just comparing to, you know, 354 West 20th, even 7981 Jane, there's a little bit more separation. It's not just a giant grid of windows.
Also 3 floors, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot. 2,
A lot.
okay, it's sort of down there, but 3, it's the whole building. It's most of these buildings were only 3 stories, and now it's like a whole glass wall.
Okay. Chanel?
For the slide that's up, again, I know something's wrong, but I can't say what it is. Certainly the division of the windows, and what's really, the inside of the building has been changed to be something that it wasn't meant to be, which is double height. And that is kind of acknowledged and not acknowledged. And I wondered if the division and the windows might be the same. The upper one the same as the lower one. And I noticed on one of the examples there was, I believe, a balcony or something that helped to relieve this great 3-story high window with divisions rather than giving some sense of the 3 floors.
Okay.
It's a bit the same problem of the front, is making a house that's not a row house be a row house. In the front, I don't think we need to see it again. It was when I first looked at it, I thought it was a distorted angle of the photographs of it. But
I'm sorry, do you mean the front or the back?
I'm to the front now.
Front, okay.
Thank you. The door looks minuscule compared to the house. And I'm not sure whether one should violate the theoretical opening or what, but there's something that makes the door not as important as a door might be for a house of that size. So that's another puzzle that I haven't a solution for. And we suffer terribly, of course, from not having the real proportions with the parlor floor window being nearly full height. So that's another thing that makes it look like a bastardized big row house as opposed to a smaller row house that would naturally have matching windows. I think that's all. Thank you.
All right. Well, I just want to say we're working with the window heights as they are. So, we're not looking to change anything in terms of the window heights above the ground floor. Just,
Right.
So,
And there are not any down below
right.
changed.
Trying to figure out what the right window size is there.
Does I can't see from this quite.
Mhm.
Would it work to elongate the two entry level windows?
Well, it's their design, let them work on it, I think there are different, there are different options and in interventions that might be worth it. Ooh, I'm so sorry. All right.
Okay.
But
All right.
because
Okay,
also
all of my other points were covered. So.
Chanel, I think I would worry about that too, because then it's almost like too much intensity in that area and too little above. It might again exaggerate.
We'll go into this later.
Okay.
The other thing I'd like to say is about the excavation. We have a whole paragraph about being careful, following the rules,
of course,
and all that, and we'll put that in that.
Right.
Sort of, it's not quite a deny unless, but
right.
Provided that. Clause.
Right. And as I'm sure you know, a project like this has to go through LPC's enhanced engineering review.
Yeah.
So we're still in the process of that. And they won't let us, they won't let us show this at a public hearing until their retained engineer is satisfied with everything that our engineer produces. So
right.
that's ongoing right now.
Okay, good. Arturo, do you have this handy that we can look at it as we have our discussion?
Yes, and Andrew is also asking to make some comments.
Oh, please.
Andrew, go ahead.
Thank you very much, and sorry for not speaking up sooner, but I was actually also trying to figure this building out. I had a similar reaction to Anita, and I was doing a little sort of digging around online and looking. It would not surprise me, based on what I've seen, if this building actually had been built in the 1850s as a tenement. And I think that might be part of what's going on here. I think this building was always a tenement. There's other tenements in other parts of downtown that look very similar to this from this era. They were built on Astor land. The Astors had a lot of land holdings in this part of town as well. So that might be part of why this seems so sort of funny and odd and isn't fitting if you're thinking about it as a sort of townhouse restoration. I can't say I know it for sure, but between the footprint and the design, I would say there's a very good likelihood that that is what this was originally built as, with these with the windows the way they are now. And it does present some interesting challenges in terms of what you do with it at this stage of things. But I just wanted to sort of put that out there for people to kind of think about, that might be part of this building's story, and what's a little bit puzzling, because there aren't many buildings like this in this part of the West Village still left.
Thank you for the history lesson.
We thought the same. We had the same thought, that this was always a multiple family dwelling. We just have been able to find exactly the documentation we'd hoped so far. So Andrew, do you mind saying that address again? The Astor housing that you said was on a certain street? Or used
Yeah,
to be?
Fifth and Sixth Streets between Avenues A and B, both sides of the streets
Oh,
are
okay.
master tenements.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll look at that. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, should we
Have
sign
we-
off?
Have we finished, Arturo?
Yes, that's
Okay.
everybody. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
team, for this house.
Okay.
And we'll move on. Would you all
Thank
like
you
to
all.
do, would you like to do this one first, since it's so complicated and fresh?
You're the boss.
So,
Is that agreeable?
yes,
Sure.
let's go for it.
Okay, if we could,
Rob, if you don't mind turning off your camera, is that okay?
I'm sorry, sorry. I was coughing and carrying on. I didn't want to be a display. The front. We've discussed to death now. What do we say? Anita's gone mute now after.
Well, I said my piece. I think it's boring. I think it's not really reached its potential, and maybe it's because it really is just, I think the fire escape helped it, honestly.
Right.
And and the wider window in the middle. But maybe what you said, Arturo, maybe if we could reduce the height of this similarity by creating a course separating the lower level from the upper level.
And it would have that historic reference of referencing a time when these sorts of buildings were not atypically having their bottoms converted to some sort of business.
Yeah, and it's not an easy design problem. I mean, I can see that we're not having an easy time of it. So, but then I think there's a lot of things that just bother me. I don't like the gates. I really don't like the window gates. There are so many gates out there. I don't think sort of an expanded metal gate is the right choice. I don't like the light fixture. I don't think it's the right one. I love the bluestone slabs, by the way.
The what?
The bluestone slabs, really nice, old, beautiful, big slabs. That is gorgeous. And so maybe study that would be the old tenements. There's the new old tenements, and then there's the old tenements. So good luck with that. But it's definitely, I think he's right. I think it's a tenement building, and maybe, but very plain, I might add, because it might need, I don't know, what's the cornice like? It might need a little dressing up. The cornice and the entrance doesn't look right to me. That looks so residential and sort of ordinary. It doesn't feel right with these little slivers. Isn't that the one with the sliver side lights?
Panel. Does it need a transom? If you get rid of the transom, you have a larger door.
Well, they only have a low ceiling height there. It's not like a grand first floor. It's a low ceiling height.
Yeah, this
the
again
transom's
is
very nice, but I don't think it has a high floor to ceiling height there. It doesn't look like it. Usually you would have a big transom at the entrance of a tenement, yes.
it misses what we talked about with the SoHo new building, that it's not built with a tall bottom floor.
Yeah, it's not, it looks like a basement entrance, basically, that lost its stoop, but it's not. So It just looks like a very low first floor. So I don't think you could find it.
Do we specifically want to say anything about the window size, or need for variety of window size?
Window size at the ground floor?
Well, and anywhere on the front, yeah, the ground.
They don't want to, I understand that they don't want to change the existing openings and the height, those are all very expensive moves, to change. They are changing the middle anyway, because that one has like a double width lintel.
No, but the
apparently,
ground floor, it does, is the,
is new.
it doesn't exist, so.
Yeah,
Well, this
listen,
is
I would
presumably-
play around with it for sure, because I think it needs a little dressing up. So yes, I think that would be a good suggestion.
And that would also add to the non-uniformity between the
Yeah.
first level and the top.
It's not easy. It's not easy. Oh, the design problem is not easy, but I don't think it doesn't pull together. I really don't like that entry either. It's like scaled to a very old federal style row house, with the tiny little,
Scale, that's what I was
tiny
talking about.
little side lights, right? Do you know what I mean, Chanel? And that's fine, but those are from the 1820s. This is from the 50s.
And part of the problem with, I think, the first floor height is one of their own creation, because they're lowering the first floor through steps, and then they're also lowering the first floor ceiling and the second floor base.
How do you know all that?
Oh,
You're so smart. Let me
The
see.
second, right?
Oh, it's the basement.
Can you put it online?
Oh, yeah, I can.
What did I do?
Oh, he just asked if I could show it online.
Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't see that. That's a good one, good drawing.
I think right here, this is what I was talking about, right? So I think they're lowering everything, right? So now the base is here,
Yeah,
and then the ceiling, the first floor ceiling is moving down as well.
they're redoing all the floors?
Yeah, it said redoing the.
Well, then they
doors.
can just
Yeah.
revisit that facade. I mean, clearly, we can't save everything. We can change it up.
Yeah,
It's hard to know why, because it's so minimal. Oh, to get the new parlor floor taller.
But I don't really understand what's wrong. What's going on the ground floor? Where's the street? Oh, there it is.
Right.
I see.
and this is what their original.
So inside the windows are way up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say do some more studies. I just don't think we've seen the possibilities yet.
Yeah, like I said, I think those old tenement buildings, I was just looking at a few, a lot of them do have commercial, but a lot of them have that like separation, that storefront cornice, some sort of separation, but they also.
I'll sum this up with the proportion idea and then a few examples that we've talked about.
Yeah.
I guess to go across the roof next. No, the rear was next.
I'll take a look at it.
Carol, could you put up the rear windows that we've talked about over and over?
Let me pull those up again. Give me 1 second while I find the button.
Oh,
It's just unrelieved. Not very attractive at that, and you can see from the
This one or?
yeah.
that.
Also, 3 stories, it's just too much.
Here we go. This is it.
2 we didn't like originally. Now we got 3. It's too much. And at night, I mean, I don't really understand why it's so popular, because at night you're going to have the biggest curtain you've ever seen.
Yeah, I think the challenge that they're having is that's supposed to be all open space, right? That second floor.
But it's the second floor windows.
Right.
If the ceiling were there, that
It messes with the scale, I think this building has a problem of scale. It's like too small and too big, or it's just too extreme.
Windows are very dense.
So Tone it down is what I would say.
Let's go from the bottom. I can't imagine why the windows are so small, the panes are so small,
Right, yeah.
and it makes it just so busy.
It's not enough structure, Chanel. I mean, the windows are the windows, but it's like this magic. It's magic. There's no structure here. There should be some columns and some beams and some. Let's get it grounded. Let's express how we're carrying this
Some
weight.
boldness and
We've got two.
It's one big punched hole.
Yeah, it's not very authentic. It's got a lot of steel in there. And it's carrying all this masonry. So we like structure. Structure is a good thing.
Yeah.
Walls are good. It's not a bad thing to have some walls or base. Maybe, you know.
The one on the left, how much nicer it looks.
Well, that's a whole different. Now we're gonna get all
And
confused.
there's something about that lower right one that was very appealing of its genre. The double house that was the lower right-hand corner.
Well, I think first it's a
Right,
three.
they've
That's just
proportioned.
no good.
Oh, they have the advantage of a tall bottom.
To know 3 stories is too much. That would be my number 1 comment. And that would help somehow. Not sure how, but it might help.
There's more glass than masonry.
Yeah.
That's not right.
If it was done well, we would accept a lot of things in the back now. I have to say, but it's not convincing. It's not working.
And if it were a row house, what we would often see is that the second floor was a balcony with doors.
That's right.
And
Good
then
point.
above it is the punch. And this is just stretched out what's typically the bottom 2 floors. Okay, I've got it, unless there are other specific comments.
Oh, good. You gonna do the next one?
okay.
The roof. The roof and then the garden.
Okay. It looks too big.
I wasn't troubled by the bulkhead, but
Big.
I'll say what troubles you about it.
It just looks too big. It looks really big on the front elevation, like 2 stories high or something. And also, I think these penthouse additions, I really prefer it when they sort of lean down and try to look a little smaller.
Yes.
Even if they're not, at least they're like trying.
You
So.
mean a sloped roof, is that what you're saying?
Say what?
Are you saying a sloped roof to lower?
Yes, exactly. Trying to look.
Which is
smaller.
vernacular. And it's not as though they're trying to make a room up there. They're just.
It doesn't matter what they're trying to do. It's just we're evaluating it for what is it? How does it feel? How does it look?
How does it?
Can
fit
you
with
get
the-
away with it?
Yeah. Does it fit in with the neighborhood character?
That's right. Exactly. It looks
Blessing
way
is
too big. It's too
responsibility.
tall.
I mean, just look at these profiles.
Exactly.
2 stories or 1 story, the penthouse?
It looks enormous.
Yeah, way too tall. Way too.
Do we know how
bulky.
many stories?
It was
Well, the height, it's just 1 story, but it looks like
it's
it's all-
11 feet high from the roof.
I can't find it here.
Well, again, I think I would put some.
And even if the elevator needs to be that
Yeah.
high, certainly the
feet.
stair part doesn't.
Yeah, why not nip that corner off? That would be better. That, I don't think it'll make a big difference to the inside of the space, and it'll blend better. It'll look small, it'll have a smaller first elevation, and then it, you know, goes away from you.
For specifics, excuse me. We'll say minimal height for the stair area and as low as practical for the elevator area.
And again, remember, they're adjusting all their floors.
It looks like the highest point that was required was taken and the whole thing was just made that high.
Chenault, with them adjusting the floor heights in this entire building, which is pretty remarkable. I mean, they're probably in pretty bad shape. That's why they're doing it. But it also means that they could drop down the ceiling, the floor at the roof level, and it would make it smaller. So.
And a little bit off of each, the top two floors would even make it better. So. Okay, the garden. I'm not crazy about the boxes back there. We've always asked for that 5 feet of real soil clearance at the back. So should we not keep to that?
I honestly couldn't hear you. What did you say?
Oh, that to stop the excavation 5 feet from the rear lot line.
Oh, I'm always, listen, we need permeable surface.
I've never seen an application that I can recall that took it back there.
Oh, yeah, we want that. We want some earth. It's very important for global warming, everybody. We got to get the water back into the earth, and that's not going to do it. It's going to do it in the storm drain and not dirt. So
and it's not as though they have a minuscule amount of space.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, this is a big building, as I realize it's for a single family. It's definitely.
And they could grow a tree there.
Definitely, absolutely. And that in a box.
The hole in the domeless always had trees. Now we're not, now we're having planters.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh, this shows clearly the old cellar was a bend over but get into between the two red lines.
Interesting. Hello.
And then I have the whole
existing cellar was.
The whole paragraph about engineering.
Well, they have a taller building next to them on the right. I forget what's on the other side. But
Well, it's wider. The upshot is it's all buildings except a portion of the garden gives on to another garden, and that's to be done with the wall rather than which is not illustrated anywhere, rather than underpinning.
Well, it's a little building next door. But that one, they won't have any trouble because they have a full basement down there.
Better, yeah. There you go. It's a better photo.
I don't think we had a drawing of the neighbors, so we can't know exactly. And there's an auxiliary building, and I assume the shorter of those two. So that's just.
Is there an elevator? They must have put an elevator in this.
Yeah, they put an elevator.
This is an aerobic house.
You could see it in that section view. Right, this is it. Yeah, there it is. You can see it.
This building's only
Oh.
25 feet wide, but it looks like it's wider.
You know, I think the windows are all too small for a 25-foot
Yeah.
wide house.
Yeah.
Because 22 to 25 is a big break. And
Yeah.
19 to 22 is a row house, and beyond that is,
Well, 25 is a commercial. That's 25 by 100. Came a little later than the early row houses, which could go from 15 to 20 and a little up, yeah. So it's a different era.
yeah, there in the bottom left-hand corner is the auxiliary building.
Yeah.
And what he was saying was that the space between the two will be done with a wall.
Well, I definitely support the pulling the cellar, is that what we're calling it, cellar, away from the property line in the backyard. Make it 10 feet smaller or 5 feet, whatever, but enough so that you can actually.
Yeah, you
That's
5
a-
feet is the standard that's always been, for whatever reason. So we'll just put that in because that's what we want. And there's no reason that it needs to go that far. There's not a hardship involved, certainly. Shall we move on?
Okay.
You're okay with everything so far?
Yep.
Broadway,
All right.
it seems so simple and had problems.
Broadway, oh, that's,
Okay, first
Doors.
is the entrance. The idea that the entrance is
oh,
being important on the
I'm
lesson.
voting no, let's put it that way. Definitely no. I don't like it. I think it's wrong. Over-designed. And why would we want a revolving door all of a sudden on Spring Street? Midtown, maybe, but I would really oppose it.
I think that's a really good way of saying it. Why would you want a revolving door on Spring Street? Even Broadway maybe, but Spring Street, that.
Exactly.
It also, I wasn't really clear to me. They were referencing accessibility in ADA, and I wasn't really sure how a revolving.
Yeah.
You don't, you can't use it. You
Yeah,
have to use the fire exit door, which is now the third door that's again different from every other door. I mean,
and it looked like a tight squeeze. That there was only so much space between the revolving door and the separation.
so when
between
it's
the big
busy,
door.
you open up the
Right.
door, you let everybody in the beginning of the workday, and you know.
This wouldn't be thought about if it were on an avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't encourage that either.
What is the cross street? Is it Broadway and Spring?
Broadway and Spring, yes.
Yeah, it's the big Nike, the one with the sort of twisted ceramic facade tile, which is very dramatic, and I've actually kind of always liked it, although I was wondering how it was going to age, but seems to be so far. But this is way too intense. It should just be a very quiet thing, like the rest of the windows and openings on the ground floor.
And the original design respected the fact that this is, if you will, the back of the building and the tradesman's entrance and so forth. And
They can make it more identifiable, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need so many examples of how to get into a building. I just don't think it's the right place for it.
And I actually didn't have that much of a problem with their freight door re-envisioning. I think it was the revolving door, side door combo with a lot going on that just.
And then the only door that's really needed is the little discreet, hardworking, panic hardware door, which is the one the ADA would use and the one everybody else will use because they can't stand the revolving doors, right?
and it could be a double door, could it not?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll be quiet now.
Oh, no.
Am I entertaining you? Good.
You're educating me.
Also, I think Chanel, the key point that the committee agreed on was that it shouldn't infringe onto the public sidewalk.
Brian and.
Well, I think the code allows you to have a.
No, and I was
not
thinking,
a-
my door opens up.
Is
public
this,
sidewalk up.
is this atypical for Spring Street? I agree that it's not, but I wonder if there's not,
You mean the door swinging out?
yeah.
Off the side? No, it's everywhere in the whole city.
Okay.
It's a very common thing.
Oh, yeah.
You have to, I mean, I think I can't remember the exact code, but you're allowed a little infringement. But in this case, if we wanted, we should say we don't want any infringement because it's too
It's
busy a
really busy.
sidewalk.
It looks as though
But they are
in the
entitled to
plan that we're
What?
not
They're
asking for the
entitled
impossible.
to do that.
I
Sorry?
don't think we're asking for the impossible. It may be, but we're not asking just based on the plan. Just push everything back.
No, but they don't have to by code.
I mean,
That would be a courtesy.
they
I
are
wasn't
taking out.
altogether clear while it's on Spring Street.
It's not a
instead of
problem to
Broadway.
recess it more.
Yeah, exactly. Because
No.
they're taking it out, right? They're removing a good chunk of the glass and existing facade
Now,
there.
the freight door is probably open in. So we're only talking about the one hardworking unidentified door.
Right.
Is the only one, because the other freight must be opening in, right? I don't think they open
I can-
those out, because those don't have to open out. Only the fire escape door.
No, they open out.
Oh. There's only a few times it's
Yeah,
an
it's-
all day thing. But we can request it. I just don't, it's a little thing. People are used to it on the street too.
Without analyzing every inch, it looks as though the entire infill can go back enough that the doors stay inside. And even there's no reason that the entry and the freight have to be in the same plane, so the freight doors could go back even farther.
Well, I think my biggest objection is the revolving door.
It's like a midtown look revolving.
Totally. It's not, and in some places in the old buildings, they're usually removed because they're so non-compliant. But there are old revolving doors, but it's like for a rise. I mean, a skyscraper. So you don't have the suction of the air and there's a lot of other factors. This is not bad. This is a little SoHo building where nobody has revolving doors.
Okay, is that settled in?
Yep.
And sliding doors don't solve the problem because there has to be a swinging ADA door, is that correct?
Yeah, somehow.
Or
Doesn't
an
it?
emergency-
There
emergency
may be
door.
other ways to solve it. I don't know.
We won't
But
bring that up.
certainly, sliding doors are better. Automatic sliding doors is what people use now. Those are good.
My point was that the cladding is a false thing. It's veneer.
What is?
The cladding, the stone cladding on the door.
The stone cladding where? It's not
Of the
cladding,
door.
it's ceramic.
Yeah, whatever it is.
The facade?
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to hide it by pretending it's a wall.
Oh, okay. The freight.
The freight,
I'm afraid it's like, I mean, a pair of earrings or something. It's too much.
right.
What-
If they were just plain doors, they would say that they were freight doors, which they are.
It's a transom or something
It's
historic.
trying to dress up this entrance to something that is not dressable up.
There's, Chanel, we have a little tiny bay of a very long building. I don't know what it is, 50, 100 feet. It's a long facade. And then it's got this intensity of like a door catalog. I mean, it's not the right, not the right solution. I always say, no, no, no.
Wrong signage.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, I was-
We have those and I mean, we might 95 spring. It's fine. It's kind of cool. I kind of like
You have
it.
to address it. Yeah, it's cool. I don't.
Yeah.
As long as the lighting isn't too intense, I think this is.
I don't think they're lit. I said just
No,
steel.
It's
Oh,
lit.
they're-
There's a light from above. I think this whole bar is gonna be lit, actually.
Well, I don't mind them making sure that everybody knows that's where the entrance is. You know, we do want to make it easy for people to find it. If that's where the office entrance is.
I think this
And
section.
it's modest compared to other.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I was just clarifying that it does have a light from
Yes,
above,
thank you, yeah.
and that I think it goes along the whole length of this awning.
And I know that he was even talking about how this aligns with that. In fact, it really doesn't look like it aligns with anything because on the right, you see where there's almost behind the glass, there's almost like, I don't know, a mezzanine or something. It doesn't align with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the alignment is.
And it doesn't align with next door, that blackness between two floors.
Oh,
Do we have any objections to register about it?
to register about it?
Do we want to say anything?
Oh, I've said enough.
We like the thing, right?
We like what?
It itself is okay.
What is
Obviously,
okay?
Which part,
lower or
Chanel?
raise.
I'm not hearing right. I
Sorry,
think I'm
Chanel,
tired.
which part is okay?
You're right.
I just want to know what we object to about it.
Oh, come on.
I mean, but that we're going to write as we've discussed it.
I mean, you handle that.
Right, so I think the summary was that we were not opposed to the signage or the lighting or the awning. There was some concerns about these mezzanine windows and their alignment with the existing windows as well as the neighboring windows. I think.
Which also has to do with where the awning
We
is.
still on the, have we moved to the next project?
No,
No, we're still on this.
Oh, all right.
And then I think the biggest opposition is as to this door, the revolving door, the lack
Oh,
of.
yeah, we've got all
alignment.
that. The question now is the canopy.
Oh, the canopy. Okay, yes.
Oh, okay.
Are we, the windows are a function of the canopy. If it needs to be lowered, then the windows are going to get bigger. The top of the windows, in fact, align. It's what's being done within the opening.
I don't have a problem.
I hadn't thought of it as objectionable, so I'm,
No, yeah, I don't think we have had any objections on it.
What about the top thing?
Just, yeah, I thought the window color, is it the tint on these?
Oh,
No?
that's the least of the
Okay.
problems.
I thought I heard that.
No, I'd say I mean, I can't even think about the color.
So yeah, I don't think we have objections to the canopy, the signage and the windows above it.
okay, then we've settled it.
little
It's the
thing.
doors.
Exactly.
See the column on the right hand side?
And that what that will do is bring a symmetry
This
to
thing?
the glass
The
part.
sign, the blade sign. And blade sign, did you want, anybody have a
It was
comment
a
about,
nice small one. Let's congratulate them for not putting a huge.
I like the sign.
probably existing.
Yeah, it's an existing.
It's existing.
Nike.
It's
And it's
a,
the relief from those tiresome halo things that are so popular.
yeah, it's nice.
So I don't think that's an addition.
Okay.
Okay. Onward to MacDougal Street.
Okay.
Let me get my notes in order here. Imagine that's a slip cover on the front of it.
Slip cup?
The front, we are we're questioning that it's too matching.
Right.
And
Oddly enough, I like this project. I know, I understand completely what was being said, but the rhythm's a little different. I guess the windows could be made different, but it's a very handsome set. You know, there's
Is there any sympathy from my point that the house in question might be painted at the ground floor different?
yeah.
A lighter gray rather than, it is actually matching, it appears to be. But if it were a different,
Yeah, I think if they find something to, you know, tweak it a little bit, it would be more, maybe, you know, the paint color is an easy one. That's a good one.
and we didn't mind the increase in the size of the garage. If anything, it makes it look more like a house than a.
It's handsome. It looks good. I mean, it's not the friendliest streetscape, but it's nice. It's beautiful. And it's got that strong like storefront cornice, which is existing. And so it's already pretty similar, you know.
Yeah, I think I also went back and forth with it's a good pair, it's a good match, and also historically it looked so much different with the two doors and the garage.
No, historically it's all glass right up to the storefront. It's a bakery. It's the cutest facade.
Right.
I can smell the bread.
I think we could say that the current condition
Look how
is
cool
not
that
of
is.
an identifiable historic style,
Yeah.
although it does have two doors. Let's go to the back.
Okay. Back.
That's Frank Nervo's. Remember Frank Nervo? He used to be on this committee. That's his father's bakery store. It's a judge.
Oh, wow.
I believe it. I believe it. We used to
Can
have
you get the rendering of the back?
Those are gone.
But he told me had a bakery on
There.
the street. His father.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, as compared to the neighbor.
Also, the volumetric is good because it shows how the facades keep moving
Yes, I think
deeper
that.
into it. I forget which drawing that is.
I'm into
Maybe
it.
the one right before it.
We have an existing in the original plain top floor windows. And I can't think of an instance where we didn't ask that those be kept. Nor can I think of an instance when the commission has not asked they be kept.
You mean setting back the top floor or something? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to keep the three punched windows in the original thing, which is all that's left of the. It's all that's left to keep, to do this recalling the history thing.
But, you know, it's a little hard to hit too hard when the one right next door to it is
I think that's what makes it.
whistling right along. And
But I think to that point, it's you kind of have to pick one or the other, right? You either keep the setback and you keep the windows, or you match the other one and you keep the setback that one has. Is ideally one of the
well, then
two.
now we're matchy. I don't know. I think there are worse problems than this particular project. I rather liked it. I find it quite handsome. Yes, we do have some common remarks that we make about these things. This is a tiny, I don't know where, maybe a bird can see it, but it's going to be very hard to look into these little canyons because it's a very tight block, I think.
Is that, is whatever you just said not to keep the back facade?
No, I think it's fine. Honestly, I don't think this is not the argument I want
I
to.
don't think we can get completely hung
It's
up
fine.
with
It's
the other
hard, you don't
building.
want to
We often,
come from.
we often do things that don't match a recent present or do. I mean, we don't know the other building might not have had any original back wall, which would be a reason to take it out.
You know, the thing about this one, let's say compare it to the other one where we had a 3-story and then these little tiny windows above. This one sort of has its own vocabulary and it's sort of balanced and it's got a lot of structure, I might add. So I'm fine with whatever you want to say about it, Chanel, but as I said, for me, it's fine. I think it's handsome. It's done with somebody who has the skill.
Okay, I'm more putting our precedent rather than this particular house arguing for it.
Okay.
Is to be considered. If it's not taken, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think we should try to be consistent too. You know?
And I'll do it in this instance so that we don't get hung up with a precedent.
I'll step the top floor back to line with something. And then you have a little terrace.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
All for it. Yeah.
It's also would be very far back. Well, that one was pretty much done.
Is that
I'm just looking, I think I've got, well, I have enough in any case. Is there anything else?
No, I would approve this with whatever comments you have.
The time of Monday night, I frankly don't know what's going on with it. It'll be either 5:30 or 6:30. So stay tuned.
Having a meeting this Monday? Is that what he said?
yeah.
Valerie has sort of left it all hanging, so.
With respect to the time for Monday, I have not received any permission to change the time from 6:30. So that's something that you and Valerie will have to.
Right, and she hasn't replied to my last thing, so I don't know what. I suppose since it's advertised, we have to keep it at 6:30.
Well, the e-blast goes out tomorrow. So if there's going to be a change, we need to make it between now and say 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
And that would be enough time to change
I'll
the time.
pin her down on it then. So if you all will just stay tuned and I'll send a note out clearly about what it is. Anything else, Mark, that people need to know?
No, we're here and there's no conflict.
Right, did we ever come up with the application for the Canal Street from before?
From before?
The previous application for Canal
I
Street.
didn't realize we were looking for that. I'll take a look.
If it can be found, and
I'm sure. Well,
it was an electronic time because Mr. Fitzgerald was on the committee, I'm sure. I think we would have had electronic presentations.
It should still be on the website. I just need to figure out when.
I tried
77 Canal Street, which is like a 2-story, 3-story existing taxpayer kind of building that is, at the time, was one of the first to take advantage of the SoHo NoHo rezoning. And at the time, this committee recommended to the developers that if you're adding all that to the volume of the building and there's a subway station right there, there's a transit bonus under zoning for facilitating a better entrance to the subway. And that's exactly what they're coming back to you with.
With an elevator, I would think, because
Well,
it's
some kind
a
of,
big problem for accessibility from Canal Street to the
Yeah.
subway.
that's anybody who's ever gone in and out of those subway stations, that's a rabbit warren.
Yeah.
the big thing from the commission, because the the transit thing wasn't before them, was that they felt that it was too SoHo and not respecting Canal Street enough.
Interesting.
And it's
Is this on Broadway or is this their
it's
one on
the movie theater on
East corner.
the corner of Canal and
Broadway.
Northeast corner of Broadway and Canal.
Yeah, no, I know that.
It's a
I know that
two-story
corner
website.
very well. Very well. Very busy.
and you'll remember in detail that the
But most of
reason
the
I'm eager to
facade
see is
is
to
on
see
Broadway.
what they've changed in the facade, if anything, that would, or with anything that would make it more agreeable to threading the needle between Canal Street and SoHo.
Well, it's not your committee's purview, but this is the perfect storm because that is the central, the focus of the counterfeit goods vending issue that plagues the SoHo bid and the 5th precinct and the 1st precinct. And they made, by the way, 60 arrests in the last couple of weeks. And
Well, they're all right there.
No, I was down there.
Oh, what will I do for my
That's-
Vuitton shopping?
vehicles, which were the
Wow.
effectively the moving warehouse for these counterfeit goods, which are now all apparently in the ready room of the 5th precinct. Nobody in
Funny.
Minnesota anymore.
There's a Law and Order episode in there somewhere.
Owner for, there's an.
All right, we should wrap it
Yeah.
up.
So now-
It requires, it's seized. It
Are we
requires a
good
seizure
to-
order in the judgment of the court, but if they're convicted,
Hi.
then they'll
If
get.
you need Vuitton, 7th Avenue in the 50s is now the center of Vuittonness.
Honest to God, just like, let's say, not.
So, if you
But
need,
and the other thing we have to keep in mind is this,
Shirts that
the
say,
movie theater building is a very important building
that say,
and is well preserved, so it's
what
needs to
happens
be.
to the ones that are wrong? They're sent to relief.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Can you repeat that, Chanel?
The existing building is an important architectural item, and they were very dutiful in their care of it last time. We want to be sure. And this is like the building at 57th Street and 8th Avenue.
Let me get the.
Putting something on top of a building that's going to be not going to grow out of it.
Oh,
The Hearst building was intended to be a skyscraper, and by the time the scraperness got done, the whole idea of not reproducing the base came up, and it is the Nouvelle building that's there, which is widely regarded as one of the best things in New York.
okay. Well,
Okay.
should we close out?
And then I'll send around the old application if we come up with it. And I think, and I'll do it again, the resolution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Chanel.
much.
Thank you for each being 2 people on the committee.
We're
maybe I'll
a
send-
noisy crowd.
I'll send this to you before.
Sounds
so-
good.
Yes, whoever you want to.
Yeah.
We say yes. Thank you.
Happy to help.
Yes.
Thanks, Chanel.
All right, we out.
Bye. Good night.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Head of Table.
Happily.